What if you could get your hands on a map of the human soul? Well, believe it or not, back in the 16th century, the Spanish mystic Saint Teresa of Avila basically drew one up. Her masterpiece, The Interior Castle, isn't just some old, dusty book. It's a living, breathing guide for a journey right into the center of who we are. So let's start exploring this incredible map of the soul.
So Teresa's core idea is honestly just brilliant. She wants you to imagine that your soul isn't some vague, fuzzy concept. Instead, picture it as this magnificent castle, carved from a single luminous crystal. And this castle is filled with rooms. She calls them mansions. Our whole spiritual life, she says, is about making a journey inward, moving from the outer walls all the way to the very center where the king of the castle lives.
All right, so here's our path for this journey. We're going to look at a huge turning point called the Prayer of Union, explore an amazing metaphor for transformation, see what life is actually like in the center of the soul, and then, and this is key, we'll find out what Teresa says is the one real sign you're making any progress at all.
Okay, so let's dive in. We're starting our journey in what Teresa calls the fifth mansion. And this isn't just another stop on the tour. This is a place where the whole game changes. It's where our spiritual journey is just fundamentally transformed.
You know what's really telling here is Teresa's own struggle to even talk about it. She finds the experience of this mansion so powerful, so other, that she basically admits words just don't work. The joy here is so far beyond anything normal that she actually wonders if it's better to just stay quiet. That really sets the stage for something extraordinary, doesn't it?
To try and explain the huge shift that happens here, Teresa uses this beautiful metaphor of two fountains. See, in the early stages, prayer is like the first fountain. You've got to build aqueducts and pipes. It takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, thought, and meditation to get the water to the basin of your soul. But then, in the fifth mansion, a totally new fountain just appears. The water doesn't come from your hard work. It bubbles up directly from the source itself, filling your soul without any noise or effort. It's a complete flip from striving to simply receiving.
Teresa calls this experience a delicious death. It's an incredible phrase. For a little while, the soul is so totally absorbed in God that it's deprived of all feeling. The mind stops thinking, the will stops choosing, the you that you think of as you just pauses. It dies to the world, she says, but only so it can start living in God more truly than ever before.
But, this death of the self, it's not the end of the story. Not at all. It's the beginning. And to explain the incredible rebirth that comes next, Teresa gives us one of the most powerful metaphors in all of mystical writing.
She compares the soul to a silkworm. It's just perfect. First, this little worm just eats and eats the mulberry leaves, which for her are things like prayer and self-reflection. Then it starts spinning a cocoon, sealing itself up inside. And this is the critical part. It builds its own tomb, intentionally dying to its old life, its self-love, all its worldly attachments. And then, from that death, something totally new and unrecognizable emerges, a beautiful white butterfly.
So let's be really clear about this. The old self, the silkworm, it's gone. It has died. And Teresa says it died with the greatest joy. And in its place, something totally new is alive inside the soul. This isn't just about becoming a better version of yourself. It's a complete and total metamorphosis. All right, so we have this transformed soul, this new butterfly. Where does it go? Well, it flies right to the very center of the castle, the seventh and final mansion, the room where the king himself lives.
And what is life actually like here at the end of the journey? Well, it's probably not what you're thinking. There's this complete forgetfulness of self, and get this, a strong desire to suffer, not because suffering is good, but to be more like the one you love. There's a deep, unshakable peace, a genuine love for people who are your enemies, and zero fear of death. And all those dramatic spiritual highs from the earlier stages, they're gone, replaced by just this steady, quiet calm.
The soul here lives in what she calls a strange oblivion, and it's not about being zoned out or unaware of the world. It's more like the world's noise just doesn't get to you anymore. Your focus becomes incredibly simple. You just want to please God. It's a constant state of being, not some fleeting feeling.
Okay, so after all this incredible mystical stuff, butterflies, crystal castles, unions with God, you've got to be asking, right? How on earth do you know if any of this is real? How do you measure progress on a journey that's completely internal? Well, Teresa is very, very clear on this.
So let me ask you directly, after all these profound, deep inner states,
What's the one surefire sign that you're actually getting somewhere in your spiritual life? Is it feeling super devout? Having amazing insights? A constant feeling of closeness to God? What do you think?
Well, Teresa's answer is shockingly simple and so practical. She says, look, we can never really be sure about our own feelings. We can't know with 100% certainty that we love God. But, and this is the kicker, there can be no doubt about whether we love our neighbor. The proof isn't on the inside, it's in what we do on the outside.
And this right here gets to the absolute core of her entire teaching. The whole point of this journey, all these divine gifts and incredible experiences, they are not for your own spiritual enjoyment. They're not trophies to put on a shelf. Their one and only purpose, she insists, is to give us the strength to serve.
And she brings it right down to earth with the most concrete example you can imagine. She basically says, forget about trying to hold on to some lofty feeling of devotion. If you see someone who's sick and you can help them, don't worry about losing your prayer time. Go help them. That action of compassion, she says, that is the true union of your will with God's will. The entire mystical journey gets tested in a simple act of love.
So we're left with this really powerful question to chew on, aren't we? If Teresa's right, if the ultimate test of any deep inner journey is how it shows up in our love and service to other people, how might that make us rethink the map of our own interior castles?